What happens when pride blinds us to the value of kindness? In a quiet AFFR, I see a village nestled between rolling farmlands and the winding path of a lazy river. Life moved with a rhythm as steady as the morning drums. Chickens scratched the red earth, women sang while pounding yam, and the market square was the heartbeat of the community. Here, worth was measured by wealth and appearances. A fine wrapper or a gleaming brass bangle brought respect. A man's prosperity was judged by the size of his barn, the shine of his shop, and the jingle of coins in his pouch. Among the people of this village lived Obinna, a man of striking presence and undeniable ambition. He owned one of the busiest shops in the market, stocked with spices, fabrics, and palm oil jars that glittered in the sun. Traders came from nearby towns to bargain with him, and his stall was always alive with chatter and clinking cowries. Obinna was admired for his business sense, his clever tongue, and his confidence. But beneath the admiration, there lingered whispers about his pride. Obinna believed deeply that success was proof of superiority. He looked down on those who struggled, dismissing poverty as laziness. In his mind, kindness was weakness, and charity was a foolish waste. For him, life was a battlefield, and only the strong deserved reward. Every morning, Obinna strutted through the bustling market square, like a cock announcing the dawn. His robe of fine woven cloth swung around his ankles, and his sandals clapped proudly against the ground. He made sure his leather pouch, heavy with coins, jingled loudly as he walked. Let them hear, he often thought, and know who thrives among them. Women buying vegetables often paused to greet him with respectful bows, but after he passed, they exchanged knowing looks. His wealth is great, one would murmur, but his heart is small. Still, no one confronted him openly, for Obinna's sharp tongue was feared as much as it was resented. Near his shop, beneath the shade of a withered mango tree, sat an old beggar. His clothes were nothing more than patched rags, and his eyes carried the tiredness of a man who had seen better days. With a broken calabash bowl at his feet, he greeted passers-by with a cracked voice, asking only for scraps of bread or a little fruit. Children sometimes mocked him, and others ignored him entirely. But it was Obinna who treated him with the greatest cruelty. Each day, when the beggar raised his trembling hand, Obinna waved him off with scorn. "Go, old man," he would say loudly enough for customers to hear. "The market is for workers, not idlers. If your back were strong, your belly would be full. Do not sit here, waiting for others to carry your burden." Sometimes, when his mood was sharp, he added insults that stung more than hunger. "Useless stick of a man," he sneered once. "You waste the air you breathe." Customers laughed nervously, unwilling to challenge Obinna's pride. The beggar only bowed his head, his frail fingers tightening around the rim of his calabash bowl. Yet the old man never left his place. Day after day he returned, silent in his persistence, his presence like a mirror of all the things Obinna refused to acknowledge: weakness, hunger, and the dignity of compassion. One hot afternoon, when the market buzzed with voices and the scent of roasted maize hung in the air, the beggar raised his eyes to Obinna. His voice, though weak, carried a weight that made the crowd fall momentarily silent. "Son," he said gently, "will you spare bread for a hungry traveller?" The words were simple, but they echoed like a question posed to more than just Obinna's ears. They seemed to test the very heart of the marketplace, to weigh pride against compassion. Obinna laughed harshly, flicking his hand as though swatting away a fly. "Bread," he scoffed. "Work for your food, old man. Life rewards only the strong. The weak must accept their fate." The beggar lowered his head again, his silence louder than any reply. Around them, the villagers exchanged uneasy glances. Some shook their heads at Obinna's cruelty, while others pretended not to notice. But everyone felt it, the sharp tension that lingered like a storm cloud over the market. For Obinna, it was just another day of triumph, another chance to prove his strength. But for the village, and for the old man under the mango tree, the moment marked the beginning of something deeper. Pride had spoken, and compassion had been mocked. The stage was set for a test that would reveal the true measure of a man. The withered man beneath the mango tree was not what he seemed. His beard was tangled, his wrapper torn, and his bowl empty. Yet behind his tired eyes lay the wisdom of generations. He was an elder who had travelled from village to village, cloaking himself in rags to test the hearts of men. To those with compassion, he offered blessings disguised as chance. To those blinded by pride, he revealed their folly in ways that could not be ignored. For weeks he had watched Obinna with patient silence. Every insult, every sneer, every refusal to share even crumbs was added to an invisible tally. The villagers pitied the old man, but they did not know his true nature. They saw only hunger and frailty. Yet the beggar carried within him the spirit of ancestral justice, the unseen force that kept balance in the world. Obinna, puffed with pride, did not realise that in mocking the beggar, he mocked something far greater. Then came the famine. The rains failed, the yam fields withered, maize stalks bent under the sun, and the river shrank until fish lay gasping in muddy pools. At first, the people tightened their belts, hoping the season would pass quickly. But as weeks turned into months, the hunger grew sharp. Mothers stood in the market with hollow eyes, their children's ribs pressing against skin. Men who once carried baskets of produce arrived empty-handed. Obinna, however, saw opportunity in their suffering. His storeroom, filled with sacks of millet and baskets of dried fish, became a fortress. Instead of selling fairly, he doubled his prices. When a widow begged him to lower the cost of oil so she could cook for her children, he barked, "Do you think my goods fall from the sky? Pay or leave." When a farmer offered his goat in exchange for rice, Obinna shook his head. "Your goat is thin. It will not do. Come back when you have something of real value." Whispers of his cruelty spread through the village. People cursed his name as they left his stall empty-handed. Still, Obinna counted his coins with satisfaction. "Let them grumble," he thought. "Their hunger is my profit." This is the reward of the strong through it all. The beggar remained at his spot under the mango tree. Day after day, he watched Obinna's shops swell with hoarded goods, while the cries of the starving rose around it. He asked for nothing, only observed, his silence like the calm before a storm. One evening, as the sun bled red into the horizon and the market thinned of buyers, the beggar rose from his place and shuffled to Obinna's stall. His frail hands clutched something wrapped in cloth. The crowd, curious, followed at a distance. "Obinna," the old man said softly, though his voice carried with unusual weight, "I bring you a gift." From the cloth he revealed a small wooden bowl, carved with intricate patterns of leaves and waves. It seemed ordinary, yet its polish glowed faintly in the fading light. He placed it on the counter and looked into Obinna's eyes. "This bowl," he said, "is a vessel of blessing. Share kindness with it, and it will never run dry. Give to the hungry, and it will refill itself with grain, oil, or water, whatever is needed. But beware, if you hoard and scorn compassion, your wealth will vanish like smoke." The crowd gasped. Some villagers murmured that the old man was mad, others that he was a spirit in disguise. Obinna, however, threw back his head and laughed. "Ha ha, you foolish old crow. Do you think a bowl can feed a village? Do you think I, Obinna the prosperous, need tricks and charms? I built my wealth with wit and sweat. I need no magic." He picked up the bowl, examined it briefly, then tossed it aside carelessly. It clattered onto the ground, rolling to the beggar's feet. "Take your toy and beg elsewhere," Obinna sneered. "I deal in real trade, not in children's stories." The beggar said nothing more. He simply bent, lifted the bowl, and returned to his mango tree. His silence struck deeper than words, but Obinna felt no sting. He only laughed again, certain he had proven his strength before the crowd. Days turned into weeks, and the famine deepened. Children cried louder in the night. Families traded heirlooms for scraps of food. Yet Obinna's heart grew harder. He refused to share even a crust. His storeroom bulged with grain, while his neighbours wasted away. One by one, friends stopped greeting him. Former admirers crossed the street to avoid him. Women who once praised his success now spat behind his back. "Obinna the heartless," they whispered. "Obinna the vulture, feeding on our suffering." But Obinna brushed off their hatred. "Let them envy me," he thought. "Their jealousy proves my greatness." Even when the old beggar's frail hand reached out once more, Obinna struck it away. "I told you before, old man. The strong thrive, the weak perish. That is the way of life." By then, his arrogance had hardened into stone. Pride blinded him completely. One moonless night, the village was silent except for the distant cries of hungry dogs. Obinna lay in his fine bed, dreaming of more profit. But then a strange crackling sound pulled him awake. He smelled smoke. Rushing outside, he saw flames licking the roof of his storeroom. The fire spread fast, greedily devouring sacks of grain, jars of oil, and bolts of fabric. Neighbours gathered, but none lifted a finger. Some crossed their arms. Others whispered, "Let the fire judge him." Obinna screamed for help. He grabbed buckets of water, but the fire roared higher. The sky glowed red, sparks leapt like angry spirits, and soon all that remained of his wealth was ash. His coins melted into worthless lumps. His goods turned to smoke. By dawn, Obinna stood in the ruins of his once proud shop. His fine robes were singed, his hands blistered, and his eyes hollow. Around him, villagers watched in silence. Some pitied him, but many remembered his cruelty and felt justice had been served. For the first time, Obinna tasted hunger. He wandered the streets, clutching his empty belly. Those he had mocked now turned him away. "Go, Obinna," they said coldly. "Work for your food as you told us." Children pointed at him and laughed. "The rich man has no grain." Shame burned hotter than hunger. His pride, once towering, now felt like chains dragging him through the dust. And through it all, beneath the mango tree, the beggar sat quietly, the wooden bowl resting in his lap. His eyes followed Obinna, but he spoke no word. The test was not yet finished. Obinna, who had once strutted with jingling coins, now stumbled barefoot on empty roads. His name, once spoken with respect, became a proverb of warning. And yet the story was not done, for in the ashes of his downfall lay the seed of choice. Would he cling to pride or discover the strength hidden in compassion? The beggar still waited, patient as ever, holding the key to redemption. The night after the fire, Obinna wandered the streets of the village in shame. His feet, once clad in fine sandals, were now bare and blistered. Hunger gnawed at his belly. Thirst cracked his lips. The man who had once scorned beggars now felt the sting of their suffering. By dawn he stumbled back to the mango tree, the very spot where the old beggar had sat for so many months. There, as if waiting for him, the frail man sat cross-legged, the wooden bowl balanced in his lap. His rags fluttered faintly in the morning breeze. Obinna collapsed to his knees. His pride was gone, broken like the ashes of his shop. With trembling hands he reached out and whispered, "Please, old father, spare me a crust of bread. I am hungry, I am empty." The beggar looked at him with eyes that gleamed strangely. as though they carried both sorrow and hidden fire. Slowly he lifted the wooden bowl. From it he drew a piece of bread, fresh and steaming, though no one had seen him place anything inside. He handed it to Obinna. The trader snatched it with desperation, devouring the bread like a starving child. Warmth spread through his chest as he ate, not just from the food, but from something deeper, a strange peace he had never known. When he finished, he raised his eyes. The beggar's form shimmered in the morning light. The rags melted into flowing robes, white as cowrie shells. His bent back straightened, his face glowed with vigour, and his voice, when he spoke, rolled like thunder across the hills. Obinna gasped, falling prostrate on the ground. The beggar was no ordinary man, but a wise elder, a spirit of justice and mercy who had come to weigh his soul. "Obinna," the elder said, his voice both gentle and firm, "you measured wealth by coins and mocked the poor. You believed strength was found in pride and that the weak deserved nothing. You failed the test of the heart." Obinna wept, his tears darkening the dust beneath him. "Forgive me, father," he cried. "I was blind. I thought myself strong, but now I see I was the weakest of all." The elder's eyes softened. "Listen well. Wealth is not in the coins you count, nor in the barns you fill. True wealth lies in the hearts you touch, in the kindness you sow. A single act of compassion can outlast gold, while pride crumbles like ash in the wind. Did you not see how swiftly fortune turned? You mocked the hungry, and hunger came to you. You scorned the beggar, yet you became one." The words pierced Obinna's heart like spears. He bowed his head to the earth. The elder continued, "Life is a circle, my son. Today's rich may be tomorrow's poor, and today's weak may carry tomorrow's strength. Never forget, kindness is the only true wealth. Share it, and you will never be empty." Ashamed, Obinna wept openly, his cries echoing through the empty marketplace. But the elder placed a hand on his shoulder, and warmth spread through him like dawn chasing night. From that day, Obinna was a changed man. He no longer strutted with coins, for he had none left to count. He worked alongside farmers, carrying water to the fields. When he earned even a little yam or millet, he shared it with those who had less. At first, the villagers mocked him, remembering his cruelty. But slowly, they saw his heart soften, his pride replaced with humility. One day, a widow found Obinna repairing her roof without being asked. Another day, children returned home with roasted maize he had given them freely. Word spread that the man once called Obinna the Heartless had become Obinna the Giver. Though he never regained his former riches, he gained something greater: peace. His nights were no longer filled with restless dreams of profit, but with the quiet joy of knowing that no one left his door hungry. The village, too, healed. Where famine had once brought despair, compassion now stitched wounds together. And at the heart of it all stood Obinna, humbled but whole, carrying the lesson of the elder like a torch in the dark. The tale of Obinna became a proverb passed down through generations. Pride builds walls, but kindness builds bridges. Coins may scatter, barns may burn, but the wealth of compassion never fades. And so the villagers told their children, "Beware of pride, for it blinds the eyes. Give freely, for what you give returns to you." Remember Obinna, who lost everything yet found true wealth in kindness. The story of Obinna reminds us, pride blinds, greed destroys, but kindness endures. Wealth can vanish in a night, but compassion leaves a legacy no fire can burn. True riches are not in coins or barns, but in the love we give and the lives we touch. If this story moved you, let it guide your steps today. Share kindness, offer bread to the hungry, speak comfort to the weary, lend a hand to the struggling. For in every poor man you meet may dwell a hidden teacher. sent to awaken you to life's true treasures.